Greetings, everyone. I'm Bryon Smith, and welcome to Enlightened Empowered Evolved. Hope everybody's doing well. Wait, I believe everybody's doing well. I have faith everyone's doing well, and everything is unfolding perfectly. I'm excited yet again, and you know why? Because I enjoy engaging in amazing high vibrational dialogues with people from around the world. Today is no exception. And today I have Camilla Fellas Arnold. And before she tells you anything about her, allow me to tell you a little something about her before we get into it. All right, listen up. You don't want to miss this. So Camilla Fellas Arnold is the CEO of Tecassia Publishing, creatively and writing coach, international best-selling author, and podcast host. She loves working with creators to help them find their passion, soul mission, and unlock their creative gifts. Her zone of genius is helping people reach their creative potential and find their authentic voice. Her business that she's currently working on is creating 2 multi-author books, as well as working with authors writing solo books to build their personal brand. And personally, she's working on fulfilling her childhood dream of publishing a poetry collection later this year, and working on her first fiction novel. Wow, that's amazing. How are you doing today, Camilla?
I'm doing really, really well. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, I appreciate you being here. I believe time is one of our most precious assets. And for you, and we were sort of talking about time, but for you to spend some of your time, a moment of your time here with me, um, I appreciate that. So let's
It's an
just,
honor.
yes, thank you. Um, so let's just get right into it. So you're the CEO of Tecassia Publishing. Let's just start right there. So how did that happen? How did you create your own publishing
It
company?
sort of happened by accident, really. I studied design at university, book design. I wanted to be a writer as a child, but got blocked from that due to a comment by a relative. So I thought, if I can't write the book, if I don't feel confident or capable of writing the book, I'll design the books. Went to
Right.
university, did design for publishing, started working as a freelance book designer. And that was going for a few years, went really well. Had a little interval where I was a wedding photographer and then came back to design. And I was working with someone just doing like social media graphics. And they
Wow.
came to me and they said, I'm writing a book. What do you know about writing a book? And I said, well, actually, I know, a fair bit. I've been a book designer, blah, blah, blah. And the conversation grew arms and legs. And they said, can you publish it for me? And I sat there thinking, well, yeah, I suppose I could. Might as well just go for it because it's been like a dream as a child, being around books and stories. And I'd always thought, oh, maybe one day I will do something like have a publishing house or something to do with magazines or something, some kind of publishing or media company. So when she said, can you publish my book? I thought, yeah, okay. And I just like literally overnight just said, yeah, I'll do it and set it up. And that was in 2019. So it was
Wow.
just kind of on a whim, I suppose. It was like, actually, I feel like I have enough of the knowledge to do it. Obviously, we've got, so much in terms of independent publishing available to us these days. So anything I don't know, we've got the internet, I'll find out, fill in those gaps. Why not
Exactly.
take the leap? So that's what I did.
That is amazing. And might I elaborate a bit? That just further affirms to me, and I want to relay this to our viewers and listeners, that oftentimes the best way to do something is just to do it. I mean,
Absolutely.
you can learn through trial and error, but if you're really, I'm a firm believer that if you're really passionate about something, the answers will come to you. And like you said,
Yeah,
nowadays we have, basically a virtual library
absolutely.
within our phones, within our computers, that we can find out everything
Yeah.
on how the steps to go about doing things. So that is amazing, Camilla. That is
I
amazing. So
think
now,
it's quite
yes,
important because it's one of those things you can spend forever trying to be ready. and you'll never take the leap. Sometimes you actually have to, and this is what happened for me, you leap before you're ready to do it, and you just like jump off the building and find your metaphorical wings on the way down. You don't actually know that you're going to have them. You don't know that you're going to fly, but sometimes you just have to, otherwise you always stay where you are. And I kind of felt like that. I definitely felt stuck in my business. Just designing social media graphics wasn't lighting me up at all.
That
I just
sounds
got given
exciting,
this
but that wasn't your passion.
opportunity. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
It's not, for someone that may be really exciting, but for me, it wasn't
but
doing
that
it.
wasn't your, you didn't,
No.
yeah,
And I
that
just thought,
wasn't
you know
your
what? This opportunity
calling.
has landed in my lap.
Right.
Why not? Let's go for it. Let's see what happens.
Right. No, I get it, because there's lots of amazing things that I have done, that people, have told me, hey, how come you didn't just stay with that? Well, if it doesn't resonate with you as your passion and your calling, then you're never going to be fulfilled. You have to go, not where other people think you should go, or think you should be, but where you feel in here that you should be. And that is amazing that's another point that you have shown me, and who's listening and viewing, to don't just settle, and don't stop just because other people say that that's good, or that's amazing, and you should just stick with that. No, you go where, your intuition, your heart.
I think it's really easy to like be stuck with those labels that you're given as a child and stay stuck in that box, and almost what everyone thinks you should be, what they think you are, you just conform to that. And to actually kind of block out that noise and be true to yourself and say, what do I really want out of life?
What do I really want to do?
And to follow that is really powerful. It's really hard, but it's really powerful when you do it.
Yeah, it's hard, but at the same time, going through whatever you have to go through to connect with your calling, it's all worth it in the end, because you appreciate it more, that you built it from the ground up. You did the research. I mean, of course, there's people along the way that will help you, but you're drawing that help to you. You're seeking that help. But at the same time, I think it teaches us lessons that we need to learn going through the process.
You get that soul satisfaction as well, because you know that you're fulfilling that soul mission, that soul purpose. You haven't got that kind of niggle in the back of your mind, like, oh, but I know I can do so much more than this, because you're actually doing it.
Right. That's amazing. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So you're also creativity and writing coach. Let's just get into that. So how did that come about? Elaborate just a bit on that, because you have so much here.
I'll try and be brief. So I had the production skills, the book design for my publishing company. And what was happening is I had loads of authors coming to me saying, I really, really want to work with you, but I'm stuck in the writing phase. And I thought, because I had my own blocks around being a writer at the time, I thought, I don't know how I can help you. And I sort of was stumbling through the process, and I thought, this is not working. I can't give them what they need, and it just doesn't feel good. So I went and got a coaching qualification to have those skills to help me coach people. And it really reignited my love of creativity in general, just my appreciation of the whole creativity industries. And in terms of writing, I used the coaching skills on myself to unlock being a writer, so I could help the writers I was working with better. And it just gives like a really holistic journey for people. It's not that they've already written it, and then I've got to get to know what the book is, and I've got to get to know them before I can help publish it. It's literally from that first moment where you think, I want to write a book, I don't know where to start, I can walk with you all the way now, and that feels really good.
That is absolutely amazing, because I myself have put myself in that category where I have so many ideas in my mind in regards to penning and authoring a book, but
it's hard to know where to start sometimes.
Where to start, yes. So I am glad now it was meant for me to meet you, because I may be reaching out to you in the near future.
Because it's actually my zone of genius to really I can see that big picture for people because you're in it. It's your stuff. You can't see the thing, but I can look from the outside and say, this is how we make it make sense, because it's not just, a lot of people want to throw everything into one book.
One book,
and
yes.
so let's be really focused and make that book as good as it can be, but it's got a very specific topic. It's very narrow, and the lessons are really, really powerful, telling that story and that message, because you know what, we can do more. We can do book number 2, book number 3, and people kind of forget that. They think that they've got to pour their entire life story into one book,
into
and
one book. Yeah,
it's my job to sit there and say, hang on, let's really drill this down, because there's more to come.
Yeah, and
then they're like, oh, I could do more than one book, and it's like they don't realize.
Yeah, it's almost synonymous with your life. It didn't all happen in one particular segment.
Absolutely.
It happened over a period of time.
We kind of look at our whole life as like this one long film, and forget that actually it's probably more like several books. It's more like a TV series where you've got seasons. It's, you know, you can break it down. I mean, I've worked with so many people and they've given me these outlines, and it's like everything they've ever done, everyone they've ever met. And it's like, well, what message do you really want to give someone? And let's pick out those parts, because that's the other thing about people telling their story. They want to do it like chronologically from the moment they were born all the way to the age they are now, and that can be a bit boring. It's like, well, no, let's tease out the stories from everywhere and build something a lot more powerful.
Let's just elaborate on this section and highlight and you know, blow this section up and magnify this section, and this section in itself is an entire book. And that's amazing that you have that that mindset and the skills to be able to help them to relax and pull back, instead of telling them what they think they want to hear, which is cramming everything into one book. It's like, hold on a minute, you have a great idea, you know, I'm sure you're encouraging to them, and but this is what we're going to do. You know,
it's really important to build up that courage and confidence in them as well, because some people, I think the other thing is they feel like they have to tell their whole story, because they don't feel like a tiny part of it has value. So that's the other thing that I see a lot when working with creatives in general across any industry. They don't see the value in their story, their skills, their abilities. So building up that confidence is so important.
So important. And then at the end, I can imagine that people end up being even more excited after consulting with you, because then they realize, look, I have more than one book potentially inside of me.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
So that's amazing. So you're also an international best-selling author. So when did that happen, and what book are we or books are we talking about? When did this happen? How did that
actually happened in April this year? What happened is, so last year I was working on unlocking being a writer for myself, and it was, I think, late last year, November, December time, someone offered me a chapter in a multi-author book they were doing. And you know, when you get that full body yes, and you're like, oh, this is it, this feels right. So I just said yes immediately, wrote my chapter within a week or so, and didn't really think about it, because obviously they've got to get all the authors together, blah blah blah. And it launched, it's called Sacred Redesign. It launched back in April, and there was about 25 authors, I think, and we'd all shared our chapters and stories, and it hit I think it was 9 bestseller lists across 4 different countries or something. It was really, really exciting. And it was also a different experience, because I've written my own solo book on creative archetypes. And the difference is stark, because writing on your own, it can be quite solitary, it can be quite lonely. Whereas when you're doing it with that group, you've got that buzz. Launch day was just, wow, so exciting. Everyone's talking, everyone's interviewing each other, there's all the posts. It's a completely different vibe. And it's also, this is why I've started to do multi-author books in my own business, because they're so supportive. I'm still collaborating with the people that I was in that book with. We're still friends.
You built up a relationship.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like that really flips writing on its head, because a lot of people think that, you know, you bleed at your desk as a writer, you're sitting there, you're chained to your desk, you're writing on your own, it's very solitary. And these multi-author books just turn that around and say, no, it's a fun experience. It gets to be fun. You get to make friends. You get to support each other. We're all winning here. And so, yeah, it was just becoming the best-selling author was amazing, but there was so much more to it as well that just felt amazing.
So
it's just so much fun.
If you can answer this question, or you don't have to, but what would you suggest if someone is thinking about becoming an author? Would you suggest for them to try to seek out a multi-author project first?
Definitely. I think so, because it's, you know, roughly about 3,000 words. You can sit and write that happily in an afternoon. And I've got loads of techniques personally that I help authors I work with to get it out even quicker. So they're not like, because there's this whole disconnect when you sit at your desk, because suddenly it's all serious and it's going to be written and printed and it's going to be there forever. And I think for a lot of people, that chapter in that multi-author book is like a stepping stone. It gives them that confidence. Whereas if they haven't got that confidence, they've never really sat down to write anything long form, to then sit there and write 30, 40, 50,000 words on their own, that's daunting. That's a lot, because it's not just the sitting and writing, it's also all the outlining and the planning and then the marketing and publishing. It's a lot. Whereas
there's a lot of things that go into
you just turn up, you write your chapter, give, you know, like author bio, headshot, that kind of stuff. The publisher takes care of all the rest for you. You don't have to worry. So it's just enough to dip your toe in the water, give you that confidence to say, yeah, I want more of this. And then you can find whether you want to keep working with that publisher and say, hey, I want to do a solo book or whatever it is. But it's just enough to kind of get you into the process, rather than trying to sit there and write an epic fantasy of like 200,000 words in your first try.
Right. That's an amazing breakdown and a way to outline it for people to kind of see the the process, because it can be a bit cumbersome and a bit heavy to just jump into the deep end of writing your first book. So that gives
I think it's something like 80% of the population dream of writing a book, but only 1 to 2% actually ever do it, because it is hard. This is the problem. People start and then they just can't finish, because I mean, I've got quite a few sort of half-started manuscripts lying around, because it's just that long form. It can be really, really challenging to see it all the way through.
Yeah, but we have to find a way to push ourselves, and if we want that to come into fruition, we're the ones that can make that happen. No one can make that happen for us. I mean,
absolutely.
So that is amazing. And congratulations again for being a best-selling author, and for just helping people within the process. So I think that's quite amazing. So let's move right along. So you're also a podcast host.
Yes.
You have your own podcast. What's the name of that podcast, and how did that come about?
It's called Creative Power. And for me, it was an outlet for all the things that I've got quite strong opinions about the creative industries, and, you know, how difficult it can be for people. You know, we've got like the starving and suffering artist mentality, and, you know, not seeing our value, all of these things. I've mentioned some of them earlier in the conversation we've had, but I wanted an outlet for them. I wanted to start those conversations. So I think that was about November last year. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to start. You know, it's another one of those, I'm not quite ready. I don't feel quite ready, but I'm just going to leap anyway and see where it goes. And I can feel the whole podcast is starting to evolve. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. But it's been amazing to hear the feedback that people give me when they just resonate with what I'm saying. They're like, oh wow, someone's actually talking about this stuff. I use it to try and help people really achieve their creative potential, just unlock and unleash themselves, give them permission to just explore with creativity as well, because a lot of people don't feel like they even have permission to try.
Wow, that is amazing. That's an empowering podcast as
Definitely.
well. And that's one of the names that I have in this podcast
Yes.
here is Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. And that's very empowering. And what platform do you is this on? And is there a scheduled date or dates and
Um,
times?
so it's pretty much on all the usual places, Spotify, Apple Music, etc., etc. I can give you a link if you want to put that in the show notes.
Oh, okay. Sure.
It
Absolutely.
it usually releases on a Tuesday, although I have, because it's been evolving for the last few weeks, I haven't been religiously releasing episodes, but I am doing a series. I've been having a guest come on who I've been interviewing. We've been talking about the pagan wheel and how
Okay.
all the different festivals throughout the year affect creativity, because we kind of shift into different seasons. So the most
Right.
recent episode at the beginning of August, we were talking about Lammas and how that kind of harvest energy can
Wow.
affect you as a creative and how you can bring that in and harness that. So that's been really interesting to do while the rest of the podcast is evolving, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It makes total sense. And that right there, what you just explained, uh, that piqued my interest. I want to listen to that, and see how that your perspectives on how,
Yeah,
the different seasons
it's
and
very, very
things happen to,
fascinating.
yeah, that impact our energy and creativity and things like that. Yeah, I'm very interested in that. So that is absolutely amazing. Wow. So you're also so your mission is to help people, as you said, uh, to help people, in writing. So you also have a business. In your business, you're currently working on two. You now you're working on two more
Yes.
books.
Yeah, I'm calling in the authors. So this time, instead of me being the part of it, I'm actually holding the space for the
Oh,
authors
okay.
to come and write their chapters. I will be the one publishing it, handling all that production side.
That
I
is
have two
amazing.
books that I'm running. So that's really, really exciting. Hoping to launch them later this year, possibly early next. We'll see on the, you kind of sort of wait to see how many people are going to join the book before you start setting the hard and fast deadlines. Um,
And I was going to ask you, is there a certain pattern or topic that these authors that you're seeking will follow?
yes, so the current two books that I've got out are, or what I'm calling in the authors for, one is called Guiding Lights. So that's
Okay.
about entrepreneurs who've got divinely led businesses. So whether that's,
Wow.
God,
Wow.
spirit, universe, angels, whatever it is, I want to show the depth and breadth of working with the divine in your business. And the other book is called Paradigm Shifters. And that's
Paradigm
about,
shift.
yeah, that's about
Yes.
visionary people who are just creating something new, like rewriting paradigms in life. So that's got a different feel. It's really bold, but really
That
exciting.
is
And they
bold.
kind of came to me together. So that's why I'm running both of them sort of at the same time.
That is amazing, and that definitely both of them resonate with me. Those
Yeah.
topics and paradigm,
I think they
reminds
need
me.
talking about. We need to be
Right.
having these conversations. People want to hear it.
Right. Right. Yeah. The great late Bob Proctor talked about paradigm shifts all the time. I don't know if you're
Mm,
familiar with Bob Proctor, but
yes.
yes, he always talked about the paradigm shifts and
Yeah.
the
It's
paradigm
really
that you're in.
important. We're the stage we're in society right now. People are questioning, the 9 to 5 and how things are done. They want something different for their lives. So they're going out and creating it for themselves. And
Right.
that's what I want to highlight, those people who are literally saying, you know what, I'm throwing out the rule book, I'm throwing out what everything in society has told me I should be or should want,
Right.
and I'm making this instead. And that's
Right.
really exciting.
That is amazing. So, uh, you also in the
Just a
future,
few things.
yeah, no, you also are going to be working on, if I'm not mistaken, a book of poetry. I mean, what is that? When is
Yes.
that coming?
It should be later this year. What happened is, obviously, unlocking me being a writer, I just, poetry started pouring out of me, could not stop.
Right.
And about, it was probably about 3, 4 weeks ago now, one of my friends, because I'd written all this poetry but never shared it anywhere. and they challenged me to share it online. So they were like, post a poem every day for 2 weeks. And I sat there. I'm going to be honest, the first day they had to sit with me while I posted it. I was crying my eyes out, like, oh no, I can't do this. Posted it, and the response I got was amazing.
Wow.
Everyone really resonated with the words, and they
Wow.
were suddenly, within a few days, possibly a week, they were like, when is your book coming out? So I thought, I'll have a look, see how much I've written, and I probably got about half a book's worth already. So I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So I set, because obviously I've got the design skills, so I actually set up my own cover, designed it, announced it. I'm still writing it, so I don't know how much longer it's going to take, but I can't imagine it'll go into next year. It'll be probably later this year it comes out, and I'm slightly terrified but quite excited to just, it's a childhood dream for me to write poetry and fiction. They were the things that I wanted to do, so to actually be doing it is like, wow, the inner child in me is just like, oh my god, so excited.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something when you said you were quite terrified. Now, I've read somewhere that if your dreams and your goals don't scare you a bit, then you're not setting big enough dreams.
Yeah,
so that is good. And
I prescribe to that. Yeah.
Yes, and the awesome thing is that you keep moving forward.
Yes,
in spite of being terrified. You keep taking those steps.
I
And
think it's important. Otherwise, I always say to myself, otherwise this is as far as you go. And if you don't like where you are right now, then you don't want to stay there. So you've just got to keep moving forward. That's my philosophy. Just I'm not satisfied yet, so I'm going to keep going.
Yes, and that also reminds me of one of my favorite philosophers. He's also from the UK, from Britain. His name is Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and he says, always do what you're afraid to do. So if it scares you, you go through it. And I don't take
that. Growth is.
Yeah, and I don't take that in literal terms, saying that, oh, if you're afraid to jump off the side of a mountain, I mean, you got to use discretion and common,
a little bit of common sense.
But at the same time, something that that you need to, inside whether you need to move forward with something, and then oftentimes we need to get out of our own way. So that's what I believe that Mr. Emerson was referring to.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's one of those things that you just know. Everyone's got those dreams, whether you've buried them deep down or not. You just know what you really want to do, and you're a bit afraid of doing it. And it's not about the silly, I'm going to leap off the building, can I fly or not? But it's just
that's exactly.
I know I've got a really good singing voice, but I've never sung on a stage before. So just go do it. You'll never know if you don't try.
You don't try.
So sometimes you've just got to try it, and it might not work. You might do it and be like, oh, actually, this isn't for me. I've done it, but I don't need to go any further with it. That's okay. But if you don't try, you're always going to wonder.
Or it may take some just more time in development and more failures. And a lot of times it makes us stronger and more knowledgeable and sharpens our skills when we do fail.
You know what you do? I always prefer to get like constructive criticism from people, because if everyone tells me that I'm doing everything perfectly all the time, I'm never going to get any better. Whereas if they say, do you know what, that's not quite right, you could have done this, you could have done that, it's like, oh, okay, well, next time that's what I'm going to go do.
That's a good way to look at it. Next time.
Yes,
that is, because oftentimes I think people are a bit too, and I'm not judging anyone because I've been there too, a bit too sensitive in regards to constructive criticism. Now there's a line between constructive criticism, someone that and you feel in your heart that is really trying to help you, or somebody that's just criticizing you because they're mean or jealous or whatever, and the difference.
I think it's really hard for creatives as well, because you're pouring your heart and soul into what you do. That's where that sensitivity comes through, because people can feel like it's a judgment on you, not the work. They can't separate the two out. So it is important to try and develop that thick skin and realize it's not actually about you. It's okay. It's just use it for growth.
Yes, use it for growth and strength. And the last but not least, you also, are you writing yet of a movie script,
No, not a
or
movie script.
is
Well,
is
it's a
it just
fiction
something you set in
novel.
your intentions?
It's a fiction novel. Whether it gets made into a movie one day, who knows?
Okay,
But I'm mapping it out at the moment, and it's got to the point where I just need to sit there and write it.
right. No,
There's
I
a little,
believe
I can feel a little bit of the fear in me again of,
one thing
oh, am I the person to do that? But it's
one
again,
thing
just take the leap.
that I get too is, you said whether it gets made into a movie or not. I believe that you have the power that if you set the
Yeah.
intentions that this is going to be made into a movie, then that's exactly what's going to happen.
It's not
You
something that I'd consciously decided that I want.
yes, right,
For me, it's just I want to tell the story.
right.
And as I write it, I mean, I see it like a movie in my head. So to be
That's
honest, I
it was
wouldn't
given
mind
to
it being
you.
made into a movie.
We have to remember that we get these ideas from our own
Yes,
subconscious mind or the universe for a reason. So you can see it
absolutely.
into a
I'm
movie, then
keeping it
that's what it's
open that it can be a movie. It's not
right.
something that I put on my wish list yet, but I'm
Yet,
not saying never.
yeah, yes, that's exactly amazing. So yes, that's wow. It seems like to me that everything in regards and revolving around writing, you just have this deep passion for it, and you're
Yeah,
just
I
hitting
know what it feels like to feel like you're not good enough
right,
and to
right,
feel like you have nothing to say, nothing of value, that no one wants to hear you.
right.
And I never want anyone else to feel like that.
Feel that, right,
I want them to feel like they've got something valuable to share with the world, that people want to hear what they have to say, that it's worth sharing. I want them to feel empowered to tell their story and that it's safe to tell their
right,
story. So pretty much everything I do is around helping people do that because I've been there and it sucks.
right,
I don't
right.
want anyone
And
else to experience it.
yes, and see, a lot of people don't realize this is another testimony. You're giving a testimony because what you're saying is that everything that you've been through, eh, whether we want to think about it this way or not, it was meant to happen so that you could
Yes,
become this person that you are now, that's
absolutely.
an advocate, you know, to help other people.
Yeah.
So
I
maybe
try not to have regrets.
right,
It's
right. Because
because
everything
otherwise
that you went through, if you love
brought me to
yourself,
this
you cannot
place.
hate
Yeah.
all your experiences.
Yeah.
You can't,
Yeah. You have,
because
I
that's what's
try to, even the times where I think, oh, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. I should have done this. It's like, love the person who you were then because that they were doing the best that they could at the time.
right,
That version of me was doing her very best with the
right.
information that she had. Hindsight is
That
wonderful, but
chapter,
she didn't have it.
yes, that,
So all you can do is love the journey because
right,
it got me to here and then
right,
just
right.
take the next step.
Exactly. And I can compare that to like a book. That chapter of your
Yes.
life is different than this chapter.
Yeah.
So, but in order to make a complete book, you have to have all the chapters,
Yes.
right?
And
Not just
remember,
one.
you can finish your book and start a new one.
That's
Like we said at the beginning of the conversation,
exactly.
it doesn't all have to be in one book.
Wow. Wow. Okay. How can people, I'll have all the links that you want
Yeah.
me to have to incorporate, but while you're here, how can people find you? What are some links, some sites?
So generally you can find me. I'm on LinkedIn. Just search for Camilla Fellas Arnold. I'm pretty sure there's only one of me. So you'll find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all the good places. In terms of working with me in my business, and if you want to find out more about the multi-author books, that's www.tecassia.com. So they're my main places that you can find me.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you again for coming on to the
Thank you
to
for having me.
show. Yes, amazing. And I'm sure certain that a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this.
I hope
I
so.
did.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
because
really
when you
glad.
talk about anything to do with books and writing myself, I'm an avid reader. So yes, this is my type of conversation. I love
Good,
reading.
I'm glad. You
Yeah, I
know
love
what?
reading.
Storytelling, it's in our blood. It
Right.
really is. And it resonates with everyone. So just the ability to realize that you've got something worth saying, that everyone has a story worth telling, I think is a really important message for anyone.
Amazing. And That is absolutely amazing, because I was going to ask you, are there last things
Yeah,
that you want to say?
that's
But you
my
just
mic
said
drop
it.
moment. There we go.
It said it. So you read my mind.
Yeah,
So
got
thank
that
you.
simpatico.
Yes, exactly. You took yes, you received my signal.
It did.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you everyone for watching Enlightened, Empowered, Evolve. Camilla Fellas Arnold, thank you for being here once again. It's
Thank you for
absolutely
having
a
me.
pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone. I send you love, prosperity, appreciation, positive thoughts to everyone. Thank you. Enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your year. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.